those of you just coming in for the first time, you know, this is what we call a meetup. You know what I'm saying? Every Thursday, this room is full with principals and educators in particular that are going to, you know, not only spend time with each other, share good ideas and good practices, but also have a good time. So I got a very special guest in the building, you know, somebody that I can tell you that I've spent a great deal of time admiring from afar. And last week, I got the opportunity to get on a phone call with him, with Dame Dash, and then I had another opportunity to get on at a town hall meeting with him. We know him, you know, from formerly known as Loon. He just came home from prison a few months ago, and it's nothing but an honor to have him to join us today. And I just wanted to, again, just shout out my man Loon Amir for everything that he's doing now. I know when you got home, everybody was pulling at you, brother. I know everybody wanted a piece of you, and I'm really glad that you chose that today would be that day, man, that you could come bless us over here on OSG. I know Dame has been talking to you about what we do. You and I can talk off record. I'm in Harlem a lot. Oh, go ahead, Dame. Yeah. There you go.
I was here. It's just that I'm putting together the ranch. He's still working.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Oh, there you go.
We're putting together the ranch and all that. It's still working. But what I wanted to say is that, you know, I've known Loon from before the music business, always been a really good dude, you know, and he's one of those guys that, you know, once I got to a certain place, once he got there, it was like, oh, you made it. And we've always been family, regardless of what camp he's in, what camp I'm in, we're family first. We have a brother in common, Jay Black, and, you know, the way Loon has evolved, especially with his mental, his discipline, I really think that, you know, a lot of people will learn from him based on his experience, but he breaks it down cold. And he's from where I'm from. So, you know, I respect people that have been through those experiences, survived them honorably, you know, and, you know, we have these long-lasting brother relationships where I just call him and they'll say, fine. Like, I called him yesterday. He was like, bet. And all he wants to do is help. So I'm proud to be Loon's brother, and I'm proud of what he's done and where he's at and where he's going. And anything he wants to do, I support. He knows that from now until before and forever. So without further ado, my brother.
Hold on, Dave. Hold on, Dave. You gotta let him know why he's here.
Dave, you the dude.
Let him know why he's here.
Pop.
I was calling you before to do all of that, but you ignored me.
I'm on the ranch. I'm telling you, I'm doing things. My fault. Trust me, I'm not even gonna say nothing, but I made sure I was here today.
That's what's up. Yo, Loon, what's up? Loon Amir, what's going on, brother?
Ain't nothing, man. I'm happy to be here. You know what I'm saying? It's always a pleasure. You know, Dame, one thing I know about Dame, and this is why even at this point in my life, you know what I'm saying, we connect even more, is off the strength of passion. You know what I'm saying? My passion to affect change, my passion to be, you know, relevant in the space of advocating for change, doing things that constitute reform, all of these things, you know what I mean, I contemplated on almost through the whole duration of my incarceration. And, you know, like you said, you know, coming out, you have a lot of people pulling at you, and, you know, you only feel comfortable with certain people.
No doubt.
So, you know, having a cushion to land on when I came out, you know, Dame being an extension of that cushion. So it's like, you know, regardless of how, you know, unapologetic he may be or how vocal he may be in certain instances, it's like I know where his passion lies. So when he calls me and tell me to be a part of something, I know that it's something that's conducive to what I'm trying to do and something that, you know, is, you know, synonymous with my passion. So, you know, I'm happy to be here.
No
and
doubt.
You know, he told me it's going to be 60 principles. So once he said that, I said, subhanAllah, like that's what I need to be a part of, because, you know, I believe in education. I believe that, you know, creating awareness and education, especially in these times with the, you know, most relevant topics that we're dealing with in our communities, you know, having understanding, awareness, you know what I'm saying, and knowledge is where the empowerment starts.
Hey, man, in the room, there's so many principles, man, of color that's been influencing the world, man, been doing a lot of things. We not only talk about New York here, we got New York, we got New Jersey, we got California in here, we have Kentucky in here, we have Dame, you know, we have a lot of people in the room. And I think it's important that we get to see ourselves by way of this new narrative, which is we can be leaders and we can be dope. So I just asked you,
Absolutely.
I just asked you a
Absolutely.
question about whether or not you feel that having a coalition of Black principals in a room like this really does and can make a difference. Because, you know, I know you spend a lot of time understanding the importance of surrounding yourself with the right people. So in your opinion, what do you think something like this can, where does something like this can actually go?
Well, growing up in Harlem, you know, this was something that was more common and rare. You know what I'm saying? My generation, like, you know, until I started going to school downtown, you know, the complexion of the principal started to change. You know what I'm saying? But everything from 110th Street to 155th, you know, we had Black principals. We had a lot of Black teachers, or we had Spanish principals, and so on and so forth. So, you know, we played a very significant role in our communities and in our culture as far as education. So to like look around this room, it inspires hope. You know, it definitely gives me hope that, you know, if these people are supported, you know what I'm saying, if funding becomes available to aid in the system in their endeavors as far as, you know, educating, you know, our youth, then, you know, this gives me hope because, you know, I believe that education is at the forefront of everything. You know what I'm saying? In Islam, we have this statement, you know what I'm saying? It said, you know, that it says, al-ilmu qabla qawli wal amal. So in Arabic, that means knowledge precedes speech and actions. So it's imperative that a person have knowledge before he speaks or before he acts. Because without knowledge, then we start to imitate the animals. You know what I'm saying? So
Wow.
having knowledge before you say something or knowledge before you do something, you know what I'm saying, makes your speech and your actions more impactful.
Wow. Nah, I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate that. So, you know, I don't want to monopolize the time. You know, I know a lot of other
Yeah, I
people got some
understand.
questions. I know some people got some questions for you. I mean, you and I definitely will chop it up offline. You know, you, me, Dame, and Lays.
Nah, inshallah.
No
Inshallah.
doubt. So who else? Anybody got something they want to talk to? Mention the Loon Amir. Now let me ask you before I do that, Loon Amir. Let me ask you this, Loon. Like, where are you comfortable? What are you comfortable in?
And then they stop taking over the whole interview.
Hold on, Dane. Hold on a second, Dane.
You just asked
Hold
15
on, Dane. I
questions
got
straight.
one question. I got one more question, Dane. So, Loon, I just wanted to
Oh,
ask, what are you most
man.
comfortable? What are you most comfortable with people calling you? You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, most of us know you as Loon.
Listen, to be honest with you, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people have yet to really get acquainted with Amir. I think that a lot of people know Loon. So instinctively, you know, you're going to acknowledge me as Loon. And I don't have no gripings with that. You know, trust me. You know what I'm saying? It's not something that really, you know what I'm saying, disturbs or, you know, or disrupts, you know, relationships. It's just that I know if it's on your tongue, you know, you got a job to do. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to be fluent in your job, you got to, you know, go with what you know. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, one day, inshallah, you know, we get to know, get it more acquainted with Amir, and Amir start to roll off your tongue. But right now, you know, Loon is not a problem.
No doubt, brother. Go ahead, Dane. Go ahead, Dane.
All I was going to say is this.
Poppington.
All I was going to say is this. I want Loon to understand the power of having the ability to talk to all these principals because Loon wants to help. So I just think everybody's frame of mind is talking to Loon about his experience and how to help all these kids. Because at the end of the day, this is what we want to showcase, that we don't need them, that together we come together and we help each other. And they might try to paint him as a bad guy because they put him in jail, but he out doing more for anyone that was out of jail for all that time. And he's coming to help others, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what I want the teachers to understand, how important it is for a guy like this to talk to the kids because he really been through it. Not to say no one has, but this is a person that all these kids at one point in time wanted to be, you know? And he could tell you exactly how it is, what it is, and how you deal with it when things get put in front of you. Like, he went to jail, did his time, he ain't telling nobody either. And that's part of the game, telling people like, yo, if you're gonna do dumb things, you're gonna go to jail or you're gonna tell. I didn't tell, I found religion, I got discipline, and I'm back a better person. But do you wanna go through what I went through to get where I'm at now? So I'd rather people get where Loon's at without the pain Loon had to go through to get there. And that's really the purpose of me connecting it with my family and us all becoming one family. You just
Yeah,
powerful.
I want to say one thing to expound on what Dame is saying, as far as like, you know, just to give a, you know, a fair disclaimer. Like, you know, when I accepted Islam in 2008 and I left the music business, I was actually 3 years prior to my arrest, I was a motivational speaker. I was traveling around the world, you know what I'm saying, talking to the youth all around the world. So I can tell you that globally, the impact that me, Dane, and the lifestyle and the business that we're in is extremely vast. It's not something that just plagues the communities where we come from. Like, our influence has reached all four corners of the globe.
New Michelle Shelley, otherwise known as Principal Michelle Sasudis, who is a phenomenal principal over in Queens. And so since you posted it, I'm curious to see what kind of new hair she got this week. And you know, you're on New Michelle. Let's go. See?
Hey sis. Hey
Hey.
everyone. Mr. Amir, thank you for joining us today. And I just wanted you to speak more about that accountability aspect. When we're talking about our kids, you know, we have to battle against social media, which has such a powerful and deep hold on our kids. And how do we push the idea of the importance of education and that accountability when we have such, you know, a struggle to let, you know, in that fight against what they see on social media, not realizing that all of that stuff is not even real.
Yeah, you're real. I mean, to be honest with you, these are the things that I'm actually the most concerned with when I try to reflect on my upbringing. And we had distractions, but never to this magnitude. As you said, like, this is serious. Like, it must be very hard to be a parent in the 21st century. Because,
but the influence is strong, and that accountability is very important. And a lot of people aren't really pushing that message. And then when it's like they see everything on like TikTok and IG all day, that's what I'm listening to them talk about when they don't know I'm listening.
yeah.
So this whole idea of pushing that accountability as a man and just understanding how important it is to have a firm grasp on your knowledge and education first, and all that other stuff is secondary, it's hard to balance the two. So I'm kind of looking at it from what I do as work, but also what I deal with when I leave here.
Yeah. Well, I think that, you know, this generation of artists, you know what I'm saying, I want to say, just to be on the safe side, because I don't want to offend anybody, you know what I'm saying? But what I want to propose is I want to actually try to mobilize a lot of people that's in positions of influence, you know what I'm saying, to actually be present in school. Like, we used to have that a lot. We used to have a lot of visitors. We used to have people come through occasionally. I remember Dougie Fresh came to my class one time, and that was like, you know, a big deal. You know what I'm saying? So, and then having people who actually have, you know, influential roles within the community. We used to have that. We used to have police officers that, you know, when it was safe to be, you know, safe for a kid to say he wanted to be a cop, or when it was safe to, you know, say that he wanted to be a fireman, and so on and so forth. We have to start trying to involve those individuals, you know what I'm saying, who play those significant roles in the lives of our children within the community. As far as the internet and stuff, you know, that's just I think that's just a trial that every parent, I'm saying, every parent has to deal with that in some way, shape, or form. And like I said, that battle is always going to be difficult if what you establish in the house doesn't combat it. Because the problem with, you know, us, like, on a daily hustle and bustle, right? Your child is spending like 8 hours outside the home. You spending like 8 hours outside the home. You know what I'm saying? And when you come home, you're exhausted from work. You know what I'm saying? Some of us don't even sit up and do homework, and so what? You know what I'm saying? So on and so forth. So that lack of interacting in the home is what makes those influences outside the home more influential. You know what I'm saying? Like, in my house, I have dinner at the dinner table. I've been doing it for, you know what I'm saying, over a decade. You know what I'm saying? I have dinner at the table. But that's when I get to interact. That's when I get to do inventory. That's when I get to find out what's going on with everybody, from my wife to my children. You know what I'm saying? And that moment is pinnacle. Ain't no eating in your room. We eat at the table. You know what I'm saying? Because I come from that generation. That's the purpose of us buying these joints anyway. You know what I'm saying? You buying a dining room set for a reason. It ain't just furniture. You know what I'm saying? We got to use it.
And spending time with y'all is like therapy. It's a breath of fresh air for me. So I want to shout out Priscilla. Happy birthday, Priscilla.
Happy
Well,
birthday,
I thank
Priscilla.
you and Rough Riders for coming through, and Rough Riders to the rescue for coming through and doing a cleanup day with us, working with us on some voter registration, doing some work around police reform. So I'm going to be reaching out to you on that as well. So thank you for that. I just wanted to say, as a parent and as a former PTA president and as the former chair of the Title I committee in our district, one of the things that I found as a PTA person all my life is K-3 parents are very engaged. They're excited. They're coming out to PTA meetings, parents conference. Somewhere around 4th through 6th grade, the parents start to drop off sharply. And by the time middle school and high school comes, they're gone. But what we have to also realize is when these parents have low academic achievement themselves, oftentimes they become intimidated. They feel bad because they can't help their kids with their homework. And so when my daughter was in 4th grade doing new math, which I laughed at when I was younger, because I said, what do you mean new math, mommy? 1 and 1 is always 2, but it's the way they do it. But because my friend was like head of math for the school district of New Rochelle and my daughter's godmother, I was able to call her at 10 o'clock at night with my degree and my advanced degrees and my valedictorian international merit scholar husband. You know, but if you didn't have that education as a parent and you don't have those connections, then what do? And so it's hard for you to come and be involved in a PTA. It's hard for you to come and sit down and talk to your teachers at parents conference night, and they're telling you, oh, your kid has great potential, but I don't understand. They come unprepared. These are parents who feel like that is a finger being pointed at them because they don't have the capacity to provide personally for their children the way that they want to. And so it kind of really keeps them and pulls them back from working. And coming and engaging in schools. The other things is with PTA, oftentimes PTA is too much about raising money and going to the Board of Education and fighting. What are we providing to the parents? So every year with PTA, and then for 15 years running like some of the largest after school programs in the region through the YMCA, we did a poll with our parents at the beginning of the year. And we asked these parents, what did they need? What resources, what supports, what skills did they need to develop and expand upon? And we usually pick during that 10-month period 6 different topics that the parents said that they needed, and we brought in resources. So in after school, when we had our parents meetings, because we're doing the homework with these kids after school, the kids were in our program until 7 p.m. at night. We fed them when they came in, and we fed them at 6 o'clock before they left, 6:30 before they left. So the parents really worked with us. But they started to work with us more and more as we identified their needs and as our meetings centered around what they needed. So if they needed stuff around reading comprehension, we brought it. If they needed something on how to communicate with their kids, we brought it. If they needed to know how to gain these resources, we brought DSS or Social Security and those type of organizations in. If these were older kids whose parents needed to know how to keep their kids off the block, we brought people who talked to them about how to keep their kids off the block. So we want parents to come to school, but we want to feed them and push down their throat what we need them to know and have so that they could be better partners to us. But how are we asking and engaging them about how we could be better partners to them in an off-school ground setting to provide the supports that they need to be better supports to their kids? That make sense?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that it's very enlightening to hear that the mayor has that much extensive experience in the scholastic field, because she rounded off everything that I was kind of struggling with to get to, as far as like what age range does the parents, you know what I'm saying, activeness in the child's, you know, I mean, PTA and all that starts to deplete. Because that's where I was struggling with the question. Because I know for myself being a parent, my oldest will be 29, you know what I'm saying, December. I've been doing this since I was 16 years old. I've been raising children, you know what I'm saying? And I got college graduates. I got a son, you know what I'm saying, that's 26 years old. He graduated, you know what I'm saying, for sports management. My daughter, like I said, is a teacher. I got a son that's a jeweler. So I know that by being very instrumental in the home, it played a very significant role in my children's life. And I just want to know from the mayor, how do you start engaging and creating, you know, people who advocate for you know what I'm saying, changing the school system, how do we get involved to act as a liaison between the school and home?
So I really believe in a community schools model, and my white paper for the YMCA of the USA nationally, as the Y was the largest provider of childcare and after school programs, is how do we really create community schools? How do we create a culture of education within our community, understanding that the education of our children is not limited to the school hours, but what are we doing in schools and communities during after school? But more importantly, also, what are we doing in the weekends? What are we doing on the weekends? How are we utilizing the churches, you know, the space within our churches and our community centers and wherever we can have kids gather to support them, but then also creating a parent university. So a parent university through PTA and through schools really helps the parents learn the skills that they need to learn to help their kids with homework. It helps them learn how to advocate for their kids. It helps them to learn about IEPs and how to have the hard conversation with the teachers and how to advocate, how to deal with the social workers, how to deal with school discipline, how to deal with restorative circles and all of those things like that. We need to empower the parents. And so the Annie Casey Foundation has a lot of really, really incredible resources around community school partnerships and breaking the school to prison pipeline, as well as, oh my God, it's the Black organization. Why am I getting it? I'll get it, but you know, we just have to have the hard conversations. And oftentimes we want to have the politically correct conversations and we don't want to have the hard conversations.